There is a dam on this planet that generates 3 times more electricity than the largest power plant in the United States. A radio telescope so large that it could detect the signal from a mobile phone on the surface of the moon. A city where the metro train passes through the middle of an occupied apartment building, so that residents on the upper floors can hear it from their kitchens. And a single factory, in a province most people cannot name, that assembles more iPhones per month than the entire United States produces cars. Most documentaries about China show you its coastline, the towers of Shanghai, the tech campuses of Shenzhen, the skyline of Hong Kong. This documentary goes further, inland, into the valleys where China built things that engineering textbooks have not yet caught up with, into the cities that most travel videos never reach, into the territories that most people cannot place on a map. This is the China beyond the coast. Between Beijing and Shanghai, a province that most travelers pass through without stopping, contains some of the most ambitious infrastructure ever assembled in one region. Jiangsu, a province home to over 85 million people, sitting between the Yellow Sea and the lower reaches of the Yangtze River. The city of Nanjing, Jiangsu's capital and one of China's ancient capitals, contains the Zhifeng Tower. Standing at 450 meters tall, it is a super-tall skyscraper. It is the tallest building in Nanjing and Jiangsu province, and ranks among the tallest buildings in both China and the world. Construction began in 2005, and the building was fully completed and opened in 2010. It was designed by the renowned architectural firm Skidmore, Owings and Merrill, and led by Adrian Smith, the same architect who designed the Burj Khalifa in Dubai and the Trump International Hotel and Tower in Chicago. The 89-story building is a multi-purpose complex. The lower sections house retail spaces and offices, while the upper floors contain a 500-room intercontinental hotel. The very top of the tower features several restaurants and a public observatory that offers a 360-degree view of the city. Nanjing was China's capital for multiple dynasties and, briefly, the capital of the Republic of China in the early 20th century. Nanjing translates to southern capital, just as Beijing means northern capital, is a city defined by survival, rebirth, and dramatic visual contrasts. The city's presidential palace, built partly in classical Chinese style and partly in the Western colonial manner of the era, serves today as a museum of that turbulent period of Chinese history. It is one of the most significant historical anchors in modern China, because it physically blends classical Chinese garden design with heavy, Western-style administrative buildings. The grounds themselves tell the story of a country caught between empires, rebellions, and the birth of a republic. The Confucius Temple in Nanjing, also known as Fuzimiao, originally built during the Song dynasty in 1034. Over the centuries, it has been repeatedly destroyed by fires and wars, most notably suffering severe damage during the Taiping Rebellion, and again in 1937 during World War II. The current sprawling complex is largely a massive, breathtaking reconstruction completed in 1984, built in the traditional architectural styles of the Ming and Qing dynasties. The Usnisa Palace, one of the most astonishing and opulent modern religious structures in the world, Built into the side of Niushou Mountain in Nanjing, it is a multi-billion-dollar architectural marvel that blends ancient Buddhist tradition with cutting-edge science fiction aesthetics. Completed in 2015, the Chinese government and private donors spent an estimated 4 billion RMB, over $600 million, to construct the cultural park. No expense was spared on materials, which include vast amounts of rare marble, gold leaf, crystal, and advanced LED lighting systems. Just 60 kilometers west of Shanghai lies a city that has mastered the art of time travel. With a history spanning over 2,500 years, Suzhou is famously known as the Venice of the East. The ancient city center is a living museum, a labyrinth of narrow canals, arched stone bridges, and centuries-old whitewashed houses line the water's edge. For generations, this was the silk capital of the world, a city of poets, scholars, and quiet wealth. In Suzhou, you don't have to choose between the ancient and the futuristic. You simply cross the street. A building called the Gate to the East stands as a pair of identical towers, connected by a 24-story arch at their crowns. At 300 meters tall, the twin towers form a structure that resembles an enormous ceremonial gateway, or, as many of Suzhou's residents observe with a grin, an enormous pair of trousers. The arch that joins the twin towers isn't just a structural bridge. It is a complex. It houses luxury hotel suites, a massive sky garden, and an observation deck. The project became somewhat notorious in China for its delayed timeline. Ground was broken in 2004, but due to structural complexities and financial hurdles, the exterior wasn't finished until 2012, and the building didn't officially open until 2015. At night, the entire 300-meter structure transforms into one of the largest animated screens in the world, often displaying massive, sweeping graphics across the trousers. Nestled directly behind the iconic Gate to the East lies the beating heart of the city's modern lifestyle, a massive Suzhou Center, spanning over 1.1 million square meters of total floor area. This colossal mega-complex is the largest development of its kind in the entire city. The ultimate architectural highlight is the world's largest free-form glass roof, covering more than 36,000 square meters. This undulating, multicolored canopy was inspired by the mythical Chinese phoenix, designed to look like a majestic bird spreading its wings over the western bank of Yangtze Lake. The 7-story complex functions as a high-tech vertical oasis. It seamlessly blends over 600 international brands, an Olympic-sized ice rink, and 60,000 square meters of lush, landscaped rooftop gardens. Facing the water, a spectacular 45-meter-wide cascading water curtain flows down the glass facade, paying homage to Suzhou's ancient identity as a city shaped by water. By night, 2 giant integrated LED screens light up the sky, turning this architectural marvel into a pulsing epicenter of light and motion. To the east of Suzhou's ancient canal district lies the Suzhou Industrial Park. Founded in 1994 as a landmark joint venture between China and Singapore, this carefully planned district feels like a city within a city. anchored by Jinji Lake. Its skyline is a striking display of glass, steel, and modern ambition. Rising above it all is Suzhou IFS, the city's tallest tower, at 450 meters. Its sweeping, curved form is inspired by the image of a carp leaping over the Dragon Gate, a traditional Chinese symbol of prosperity and transformation. The 92-story tower combines premium offices, residences, and a high-end hotel at the top. By night, its illuminated crown turns into a glowing beacon over the lake, marking Suzhou's rise as a future-facing metropolis. Sitting on the eastern bank of Jinji Lake is the stunning crown jewel of Suzhou's modern nightlife. Originally built in 2009, this giant observation wheel underwent a massive, multi-year transformation, reopening as the hyper-futuristic Suzhou Eye. Now standing at an incredible 128 meters tall, it ranks as one of the largest over-water Ferris wheels in all of Asia. Instead of traditional small gondolas, the wheel features 28 massive, climate-controlled glass capsules that slowly lift passengers high above the waterfront. As the wheel takes nearly 30 minutes to complete a single revolution, it offers the ultimate cinematic vantage point over the industrial park. From the peak of the ascent, you look directly across the water to see the iconic silhouette of the gate to the east and the glowing needle of the International Finance Square slicing through the clouds. But the true magic happens at sunset, when the golden light reflects off the massive 11-square-kilometer lake and the neon grids of the surrounding skyscrapers slowly blink to life. It is a slow, breathless view of a city completely reimagined. Dating back over 500 years to the Ming Dynasty, the humble administrator's garden is the undisputed crown jewel of Suzhou's classical landscapes. Spanning over 5 hectares, it is the largest and most celebrated garden in the entire city and a deeply revered UNESCO World Heritage Site. The garden was created by a retired imperial official who claimed he simply wanted to live a quiet, humble life of gardening after a turbulent career in politics. But there is nothing humble about this masterclass in architectural poetry. Water is the absolute soul of the landscape, covering nearly 1/5 of the entire grounds. A labyrinth of interconnected ponds, curving stone bridges, and elegant pavilions are carefully arranged to create a completely new visual canvas at every single turn. The masterfully placed corridors and latticed windows function as natural picture frames, continually blurring the line between indoor structures and wild nature. Stepping through its quiet, bamboo-lined pathways is like stepping directly into a living, breathing Ming Dynasty ink painting. Sitting elegantly on the eastern shores of Jinji Lake is a sprawling masterpiece of contemporary design, commonly known as the Suzhou Bird's Nest. The Suzhou Culture and Arts Center is the creative soul of the city's modern district. Designed by the legendary French architect Paul Andrew, the complex features a massive, continuously curving perimeter shaped like a parabolic half-moon crescent that stretches for over 1.5 kilometers along the waterfront. The entire building is wrapped in an intricate, double-skin ornamental metal mesh, spanning a total area of 150,000 square meters. The interior functions as a world-class sanctuary for the arts. It houses a state-of-the-art 1,200-seat Grand Theater, a massive IMAX cinema, and serves as the permanent home for both the Suzhou Symphony Orchestra and the prestigious China Film Golden Rooster Awards. Standing on the lake's edge, it stands as a brilliant architectural paradox, a structure that is completely futuristic in execution, yet deeply rooted in the ancient design traditions of Suzhou. Suzhou lies on the ancient Beijing-Hangzhou Grand Canal, the oldest and longest artificial waterway in the world. First sections of this canal were excavated over 2,500 years ago, at almost 1,800 kilometers from end to end. It is longer than the distance from London to Rome. It has been in continuous use for 25 centuries. Carrying the Beijing-Shanghai high-speed railway across eastern Jiangsu is a bridge so long that even the bullet train running along its deck needs over half an hour to cross it.
The Danyang-Kunshan Grand Bridge, the longest bridge in the world. It stretches across rivers, canals, rice paddies, and floodplains of eastern Jiangsu, for a distance that makes it longer than the entire coastline of several small countries. Built to carry high-speed trains, it was completed in 4 years and opened in 2011.
And off Jiangsu's coast, in the shallow waters of the Yellow Sea, the turbines of the Rudong offshore wind farms rise directly out of the sea. Rows of white towers standing in open water, feeding one of the most power-hungry provinces in China from the wind above its own waves. Their massive blades slice silently through the coastal mist, capturing the relentless marine winds to generate billions of kilowatt-hours of clean electricity every year. This massive grid is more than just a visual marvel. It is a historic triumph of industrial engineering. Rudong is home to China's first ± 400 kilovolt flexible DC offshore converter station, an engineering milestone featuring the highest transmission capacity and longest submarine cable distance in the country. By converting raw ocean winds into a steady stream of high-voltage power, this offshore metropolis bypasses the need for fossil fuels, offsetting millions of tons of carbon emissions and sending a massive surge of green energy directly into the mainland grid to power millions of homes. Just a short journey west from the historic canals of Suzhou sits the neighboring city of Wuxi. Nestled near the quiet shores of Lake Taihu is a state-of-the-art facility that trades in a completely different kind of raw power, the National Supercomputing Center in Wuxi. Inside this high-tech sanctuary sits the legendary Sunway TaihuLight. When it first debuted, this massive computational beast completely stunned the global tech industry by claiming the undisputed title of the world's fastest supercomputer. With a peak processing speed exceeding 125 petaflops, it is capable of performing well over 100 quadrillion calculations every single second. But its true significance is not just raw speed. TaihuLight was built using over 10 million processing cores. developed entirely on a domestic architecture. By successfully breaking away from imported silicon chips, this sprawling array of black and silver cabinets proved a vital point. Absolute technological self-sufficiency was within reach. From predicting complex global weather patterns to unlocking breakthroughs in planetary dynamics and advanced medicine, the light of TaihuLight continues to illuminate the cutting edge of science, anchoring the region as a true powerhouse of the digital age. Traveling further inland along the Yangtze River, we arrive in the ancient capital of Nanjing. Here, resting dramatically near the riverbanks of the Yaxi New District, is a staggering monument to the performing arts, the Jiangsu Grand Theatre. Spanning an incredible 270,000 square meters of total construction area, this massive complex reigns as the largest theatre structure in all of Asia. From above, the futuristic architecture looks like four colossal, shimmering drops of water resting on a giant green lotus leaf, a poetic nod to the waters of the nearby Yangtze. Each of these metallic, shell-like water drops encapsulates a world-class venue of its own. The complex seamlessly houses a massive 2,200-seat opera hall, a specialized drama theater, and a sprawling variety hall. But the absolute acoustic masterpiece is the 1,500-seat concert hall. Built as a mathematically perfect ellipse, its interior walls are carved with sweeping, organic waves, designed to naturally diffuse sound and eliminate harsh echoes. By blending state-of-the-art acoustic engineering with poetic traditional motifs, this structural marvel doesn't just host world-class symphonies. It anchors Nanjing as a premier global stage for the future of art and culture. A province most travelers pass through without stopping holds the longest bridge, the oldest canal, and one of the fastest machines ever switched on. And 90 kilometers south of it sits the city that the most traveled man of the Middle Ages called the finest on Earth. 90 kilometers southwest of Shanghai, along the shore of West Lake, sits the city that Marco Polo visited in the 13th century and called the most magnificent city in the world, Hangzhou. Marco Polo had seen Rome, Venice, Constantinople, and the imperial capitals of Asia. He still chose Hangzhou. For centuries, Chinese emperors and poets hailed it as a literal paradise on Earth, a reputation anchored entirely by the ethereal beauty of West Lake. Here, willow-lined causeways, ancient stone pagodas, and traditional wooden pavilions appear completely untouched by time. Mist drifts lazily across the water, exactly as it did in the classical ink paintings of the Song dynasty over 1,000 years ago. But just a few kilometers away, across the surging Chengdu River, a completely different powerhouse emerges. The historic paradise has evolved into China's premier e-commerce and high-tech capital. Dominating the horizon is the hyper-modern Zhejiang New Town. As the birthplace and global headquarters of tech giants, this neon-drenched skyline of gold-tinted spheres and soaring glass towers functions as the brain for the world's most advanced smart city networks. It is a stunning testament to urban duality, a metropolis that gracefully balances the quiet serenity of ancient green tea hills with the rapid, unstoppable pulse of the future. To reach Hangzhou's bay from Shanghai by road, cars once detoured around the entire Gulf. Then China drew a straight line across the sea. The Hangzhou Bay Bridge, 36 kilometers of cable-stayed crossing over open tidal water, was the longest sea bridge in the world when it opened in 2008, curving gently across the bay so that drivers stay alert across its length. Spanning a massive 35.7 kilometers across the volatile waters of the East China Sea, it ranks as one of the longest transoceanic highways ever constructed. The entire structure was designed to conquer an exceptionally hostile marine environment. Engineers built the sweeping, curved highway to withstand the region's fierce typhoons, severe earthquake vulnerabilities, and the immense pressure of the Hangzhou Bay tidal bore, which produces some of the fastest and most destructive torrents of water on Earth. But the most cinematic marvel is anchored right in the absolute center of the bridge. Resting safely on piers above the rushing waves is a unique 10,000 square meter artificial island, poetically named the land between the sea and sky. This futuristic service oasis features a distinct, sleek exhibition center and a soaring 90-meter-tall observation tower that offers travelers a breathtaking panoramic view of the vast oceanic horizon. By carving a direct link between Jiangsu and Ningbo, this soaring cable-stayed lifetime slashed the highway transit time between Shanghai and the southern ports in half, locking the entire Bay Area into one unstoppable, hyper-connected economic loop. But Hangzhou today is known for something else. Something that has fundamentally altered the way over 1 billion people handle money, shop for goods, and transfer wealth. Hangzhou is the home of Alibaba. Founded in 1999 by Jack Ma, a former English teacher from Hangzhou who had applied to 30 different employers before starting his own company, Alibaba today operates the world's largest e-commerce platform ecosystem. Its platforms include Taobao, Tmall, Alibaba.com, and Alipay. On China's Singles Day, the 11th of November, Alibaba's platforms have processed over 500 billion yuan in transactions. That is roughly 80 billion US dollars in one day. Alibaba's campus in Hangzhou spans multiple districts of the city and employs tens of thousands of engineers, designers, logistics specialists, and data scientists. Alipay alone has over 1 billion registered users. It processes payments for street food vendors in rural Guizhou, luxury purchases in Shanghai department stores, and overseas transfers from Chinese workers in 40 countries. An engineering masterpiece sitting along the edge of the Qiantang riverfront permanently redefines the architectural boundary of modern stadium design. The Hangzhou Olympic Sports Center Stadium, universally nicknamed the Big Lotus, this massive 80,000-seat arena serves as the breathtaking crown jewel of the city's major sports district. Masterfully designed by the innovative minds at NBBJ and CCDI, the stadium's exterior shell is a poetic tribute to the famous water lilies floating on Hangzhou's historic West Lake. 56 massive, interlocking steel petals weave seamlessly together to form the beautiful, organic outer frame. But the real magic is hidden inside the engineering math. By using hyper-advanced parametric scripting, the design team perfectly synchronized the concrete seating bowl with the outer steel skeleton, allowing the two massive systems to support each other in unison. The result? The Big Lotus utilized a staggering 67% less structural steel than Beijing's iconic National Stadium, the Bird's Nest, creating a sweeping, lightweight footprint that sets a global standard for eco-conscious infrastructure. Beside it, the twin curved towers of the Hangzhou Century Center rise and lean toward each other like a single gateway, a structure locals simply call the Hangzhou Arch. This architectural marvel stands as a soaring symbol of the city's modern expansion. Reaching a height of 310 meters, its iconic twin towers are gracefully sculpted to curve inward, joining at the lower levels to form a massive, monumental archway. The layout was masterfully designed by the global architects at SOM, so explicitly trace the outline of the letter H, a proud, structural salute to Hangzhou itself. But its fluid, symmetrical lines are also deeply inspired by the organic ripples of West Lake and the gentle, flowing movement of traditional Chinese silk. A massive, highly intricate steel and glass canopy bridges the base of the skyscrapers, creating a dramatic, open-air atrium for the public plaza below. The towers house a premium blend of corporate headquarters, luxury hotels, and high-end retail spaces. By night, the entire glass facade transforms into a shimmering canvas of dynamic LED lights, pulsing in sync with the nearby Olympic venues, to announce Hangzhou's arrival as a world-class center of technology and design. On TaihuLight, 40 kilometers from Hangzhou in the city of Huzhou, a hotel sits in the water like a horseshoe anchored to the shore by its two ends. The Sheraton Huzhou Hot Spring Resort curves over the lake in a complete arc, its reflection completing the circle in the water below. Commonly known as the Moon Hotel, this stunning 27-story structure breaks completely away from traditional skyscraper design. Designed by the visionary architect Ma Yansong of MAD Architects, the building takes the shape of a massive, glowing horseshoe, a perfect geometric ring that stands over 100 meters tall. The ring's unique oval shape was heavily inspired by the traditional arched stone bridges found throughout China's historic water towns, creating a brilliant bridge between old world heritage and hyper-futuristic form. To make the structure a reality, engineers anchored the two base towers deep into the lakebed before curving them together overhead into a highly complex, reinforced steel skeleton. By night, the entire textured facade of white aluminum rings and ultra-clear glass lights up with thousands of programmable LED fixtures. As its brilliant, Neon glow casts a vibrant reflection onto the water below. The hotel creates the mesmerizing illusion of a flawless, full moon rising directly out of the dark. Hangzhou also houses one of China's most deliberately sustainable institutions. The Hangzhou Low-Carbon Science and Technology Museum is a building whose own construction and operation are a demonstration of the principles it exists to teach, using solar, geothermal, and recycled water systems to power its exhibitions on the future of energy. Spanning over 60,000 square meters, this is the first large-scale museum in the world dedicated entirely to the science of low-carbon living and global sustainability. The building's design is a striking masterclass in ecofuturism, shaped like a massive, fluid water drop resting gracefully along the shoreline. Its brilliant, textured golden exterior is meticulously engineered to minimize its own environmental footprint. The structure utilizes high-efficiency solar thermal systems, natural wind ventilation pathways, and an advanced rainwater harvesting network that naturally cleanses and repurposes water for the surrounding green landscape. Inside, the traditional static museum experience is completely replaced by hyper-interactive simulation zones. From stepping inside giant, immersive climate change simulators to exploring real-world industrial hydrogen cells and smart electrical grids, the facility breaks down complex environmental engineering into digestible, visual stories. It stands as a living, breathing blueprint for urban development, an interactive temple of science, proving that the cities of tomorrow can live in absolute harmony with the planet. Dominating the vibrant cityscape of Qianjiang New Town is a spectacular architectural statement that looks like a liquid sculpture captured in glass. Raffles City, Hangzhou. Designed by the global architects at UN Studio, this eco-futuristic icon features twin 250-meter skyscrapers that fluidly twist and curve as they soar into the sky. The brilliant helical design isn't just a random stylistic choice. The structure's undulating glass facade was explicitly engineered to mirror the powerful, rolling movement of the adjacent Qiantang River tidal bore, translating the raw, natural kinetic energy of the region's waters into permanent structural motion. But the real engineering triumph happens within its massive commercial podium. As one of the first major developments of its scale in China to successfully implement systematic natural ventilation, the entire footprint is wrapped in custom-rotated aluminum solar shading fins that actively track and deflect intense thermal heat while flooding the interior atrium with soft, natural daylight. By elegantly merging a strict LEED Gold sustainability footprint with a bold, fluid silhouette, this striking landmark does more than just redefine a city center. It anchors Hangzhou's modern identity as a place where hyper-dense infrastructure flows in perfect rhythm with the spirit of nature. Hangzhou is also home to Unitree Robotics, the company producing some of the most agile quadruped and humanoid robots in the world. Their Go-1 and Go-2 robots navigate stairs, uneven terrain, and obstacle courses at speeds that exceed the average walking pace of a human. This isn't a Silicon Valley lab demo. This is an assembly line in Hangzhou, the company turning science fiction into mass production. Founded in 2016 by Wang Xingxing, they started by mastering the four-legged stride. This is the Go-2. Equipped with 4D LiDAR to map its world in real time. But then they dropped the G1. A 35-kilogram mass-production humanoid built to run, bend, and smash barriers at a fraction of Western costs. No remote controls. No external motion trackers. Just fully autonomous cluster AI, letting dozens of machines think together. While the rest of the world debates strategy, Hangzhou is shipping hardware. The robotic race isn't coming. It's already here. And DeepSeek, the Hangzhou-based artificial intelligence company whose large language model, released in January 2025, was downloaded more times in the United States in a single week than any other application in the country, is also based here. DeepSeek's release triggered a nearly $600 billion drop in the market capitalization of American AI companies in a single trading day. The largest single-day technology stock loss in U.S. market history. Marco Polo's Paradise on Earth now writes the software that moves the world's money and shakes its stock markets. 700 years between those two sentences, and the same city in both. The next city on this river is one the whole world knows by name, for a single reason: it never chose. 600 kilometers west of Shanghai, where the Han River flows into the Yangtze, sits Wuhan, a city of 13 million that most of the world had never heard of before January 2020, when it became the first city in modern history to undergo a total pandemic lockdown. For 76 days, 11 million people remained inside their homes. The lockdown ended. The virus did not. But Wuhan is 2,000 years older than that moment. It was one of the first cities in China to industrialize in the 19th century. The Hanyang Arsenal and Ironworks, established in 1890 by the reformist official Zhang Zedong, was the largest industrial complex in Asia at the time of its construction. In 1957, it became the site of something that transformed the geography of central China. The first bridge ever built across the Yangtze River. Before it, the only way to cross the river at Wuhan was by ferry. For generations, the sheer width of the rolling Yangtze was a literal barrier of nature, splitting the country cleanly in two. But in 1957, engineers defied the shifting currents to open the iconic Wuhan Yangtze River Bridge. As the first ever dual-purpose road and rail crossing over the mighty river, it permanently shattered that natural bottleneck, linking the northern plains to the southern trading ports, and transforming the city into the ultimate crossroads of a nation. Yet today, Wuhan's positioning as a vital thoroughfare has evolved from heavy steel rails to speed of light silicon. On the eastern edge of the metropolis sits the Optics Valley of China. What began as the world's largest manufacturing base for fiber optic cables has exploded into a hyper-futuristic hub, targeting thousands of petaflops of intelligent computing power and pioneering the next wave of autonomous driving networks. Spanning over 500 square kilometers, this isn't just an ordinary industrial park. It is the absolute global epicenter for optoelectronic innovation. Every single day, highly automated factories here draw enough ultra-pure fiber optic cable to circle the entire equator multiple times over, commanding a massive portion of the international market and quietly powering the global 5G infrastructure network. But the ambition here extends far beyond cables. Optics Valley has evolved into a formidable fortress of domestic self-reliance, driving critical breakthroughs in advanced laser cutting and massive flash memory chip production. At its computational core sits the Wuhan Artificial Intelligence Computing Center, a massive, multi-petaflop intelligent data engine designed to coordinate autonomous driving networks, deep learning systems, and smart city grids in real time. By transforming an ancient inland water gateway into a lightning-fast capital of light and silicon, this soaring innovation zone is no longer just following the global tech curve. It is generating the beam that illuminates the path ahead. In 2019, Wuhan added a structure that is now among the longest suspension bridges in the world. Slicing cleanly across the roaring currents of the Yangtze is a flashing stripe of brilliant, golden steel, the Yangtze Suspension Bridge. Stretching for over 4 kilometers, this structural titan holds the absolute crown as the longest double-deck suspension bridge on Earth. Its colossal, 1,700-meter main span hangs suspended by 2 massive main cables, each engineered to withstand a staggering 65,000 tons of pure tension. By entirely eliminating central pillars in the water, it keeps the vital shipping lanes below completely clear, allowing massive cargo vessels to pass safely underneath. But the real marvel is how it conquers urban congestion. With 12 full lanes of traffic split evenly across 2 massive decks, the upper level acts as a high-speed expressway, while the lower deck hooks directly into local city streets, complete with protected walkways for cyclists and pedestrians. More than just an infrastructure artery, this soaring golden giant is a definitive monument to modern engineering, permanently locking the historic districts of Hanyang and Wuchang into one unified, unstoppable flow. Above Wuhan's streets hangs a suspended monorail, a light rail system whose cars hang below the track rather than sitting above it, moving through the city's elevated corridors at heights that give passengers a view above most of the surrounding buildings. This is China's first ever commercial sky train. Unlike a traditional subway or elevated light rail, the vehicles are completely inverted, hanging securely from a single steel beam to glide seamlessly over the urban congestion below. Operating at a smooth 60 kilometers per hour, the entire 10.5-kilometer line is fully automated. From accelerating out of the space-age stations to opening doors and navigating grades, the driverless platform utilizes advanced automation to run without human intervention. But for the passengers on board, the true highlight is the immersive view. With panoramic floor-to-ceiling windows and a completely transparent glass floor, the cabin offers a stunning 270-degree aerial perspective of the sprawling tech corridor and nearby mountains. By freeing up valuable street space below and transforming the skyline above, this flying train does more than just move commuters. It delivers a literal, transparent look into the next generation of public transit. To the east of the city, the Wuhan Future Science and Technology City is a planned district designed from the ground up as a center for biotechnology, advanced manufacturing, and artificial intelligence research. The buildings here are not the dense towers of central Wuhan. They are wide research campuses, spaced among parks and water features, arranged like a university district, designed for a country that expects to lead the world in science. This hyper-dense enclave acts as a global magnet for clean energy, smart materials, and advanced engineering. But its absolute crowning jewel is a towering, biomimetic masterpiece that looks like it stepped straight out of a sci-fi landscape. The Wuhan Energy Flower, standing 140 meters tall at the core of the campus. This striking structure is shaped precisely like a massive calla lily in full bloom, and it functions exactly like a real plant. Its massive, flared roof features a 3,500 square meter solar array, tilted perfectly at 20 degrees to chase the sun and generate hundreds of thousands of kilowatt hours of clean electricity every single year. Sprouting from the very center of the bowl, like a metallic stamen, is a high-efficiency, vertical-axis wind turbine, capturing the shifting high-altitude air currents to pump power directly back into the local smart grid. Standing proudly atop the crest of Snake Hill, looking out over the churning currents of the Yangtze, is the ancient, undisputed soul of Wuhan, the Yellow Crane Tower. First erected in the year 223, during the chaotic Three Kingdoms period, it began its life as a simple wooden military lookout. But over the centuries, it shed its armor to become a legendary sanctuary for sages, immortals, and China's greatest classical poets. It was on these very platforms that the Tang Dynasty poet Cui Hao penned lines so flawlessly beautiful that even the great Li Bai reportedly dropped his calligraphy brush in absolute awe. Though devastating fires consumed the wooden structure over a dozen times throughout history, the city's heart could never be extinguished. The current 5-story masterpiece was meticulously rebuilt in 1985, balancing modern structural longevity with strict adherence to classical architectural styles. With its brilliant, yellow-tiled roofs, swooping sharply upward like the wings of a crane in full flight, This cultural titan stands completely unmoved by time. It acts as a timeless anchor where ancient poetry looks directly face to face with the towering mega bridges of the modern world. A tower poets have climbed for 1,000 years. In a city, the modern world only met on its worst day. Wuhan was 2,000 years old before that moment, and it will be itself long after. What comes next is the interior China was warned could not be built. What follows is what happens when a civilization of 1,400,000,000 people decides to build into the difficult places. The mountain city where urban engineering had to be reinvented. A telescope the size of 30 football pitches, hidden in a valley they emptied of its residents to build it. And a dam that holds back nearly 40 cubic kilometers of river at every moment of every day. The harder half starts now. Follow the Yangtze west from Wuhan, past gorges and dam walls and cliffs that rise straight from the water. And after hundreds of kilometers, the river curves around a peninsula where two waterways converge, Chongqing. And Chongqing is like no other city on earth. Let us begin with numbers that are difficult to comprehend. Chongqing municipality covers over 82,000 square kilometers, roughly the size of Austria. Within that boundary lives a population of approximately 32 million people. It is the most populous municipal entity in the world. The terrain here is not flat. Chongqing is built on hills, ridges, and cliff faces where the Yangtze and the Jiangsu rivers meet. This created a city that defies conventional urban planning. Roads in Chongqing pass over the rooftops of residential buildings. Metro trains travel through the middle of apartment towers. At the Elizabeth station on Metro Line 2, the train literally enters and exits through the 6th floor of a high-rise residential building. The building was constructed around the metro line. Residents of that tower can hear the train from their living rooms. And when Chongqing's roads meet, they do not intersect, they knot. The Hangzhou interchange, locally still called Panlong, stacks 5 levels of carriageway into a single junction, 20 ramps, curving over and under each other, sending traffic toward 8 different directions at once. When images of it spread online, drivers joked that taking the wrong exit means starting your journey again from another district. Even navigation apps are said to fall silent over it. Rising above the confluence of the two rivers is Raffles City, Chongqing. A complex of 8 interconnected skyscrapers, whose 2 tallest towers are each 350 meters tall. Connecting 4 of the towers at 250 meters above the ground is a 300-meter horizontal sky platform called the Crystal. A glass-floored observation and leisure deck, suspended between the tower crowns with the Yangtze and Jiangsu rivers visible directly below. Designed by architect Moshe Safdie, the visionary behind Singapore's Marina Bay Sands, the curving alignment of the 8 towers is explicitly shaped to look like the billowing sails of ancient Chinese trading ships, paying homage to the site's history at the confluence of the Yangtze and Jialing rivers. Tucked away in the rapidly growing Liangjiang new area of Chongqing is a massive commercial complex that completely turns traditional retail design on its head. The Guanghuan Mall, commonly known to international designers as the Ring. Rather than trapping shoppers inside a conventional, enclosed concrete maze, the masterminds at PH Alpha Design chose to fuse high-density retail with the raw, untamed power of the natural world. The absolute centerpiece of this architectural marvel is the Twilight Forest. Spanning 7 full stories and sheltered beneath a soaring 48-meter-high glass dome, this massive indoor botanical garden introduces nearly 300 distinct species of tropical rainforest plants directly into the commercial core. As you wander along the multi-level aerial skywalks suspended high above the retail floors, you are fully immersed in a living, breathing ecosystem. A magnificent, 20-meter-tall indoor waterfall cascades down multiple tiers, casting a refreshing mist over floating plant islands and intricate, bionic rock formations. By seamlessly blending thousands of square meters of public ecological park with premier global retail hubs, the Guanghuan Mall creates a deeply therapeutic urban oasis. It stands as a definitive blueprint for the future of city living, proving that even within one of the world's most chaotic mountain metropolises, nature will always find a way to thrive. Anchored directly on the tip of the Jiangbei financial peninsula, where the muddy Yangtze meets the emerald waters of the Jialing, is a massive, crystalline monolith, the Chongqing Grand Theater. Looking less like a traditional opera house and more like a colossal, futuristic cargo vessel frozen in mid-sail along the riverbank. This structural masterpiece was envisioned by the architects at GMP. Its sweeping, geometric silhouette features an experimental outer skin constructed from thousands of heavy, double-layered glass blocks. By day, the translucent green tint beautifully mimics raw jade, catching the soft river fog. But by night, the entire structure morphs into a giant, multi-layered projection screen, pulsing with vibrant digital animations that bounce effortlessly across the shifting currents below. Boasting a massive grand theater and a state-of-the-art concert hall, the venue serves as the premium cultural engine of the Southwest. It stands as a literal gateway where classical symphonies echo out directly across a neon-soaked, physics-defying skyline. Chongqing is also the birthplace of China's most internationally recognized dish, hot pot, a boiling cauldron of red oil and Sichuan peppercorns, into which raw meat, vegetables, and offal are dipped and cooked at the table. Originated in Chongqing, among Yangtze River dock workers in the early 20th century. There are reportedly over 30,000 hot pot restaurants in Chongqing alone. Every major Chinese city and thousands of restaurants, from London to Lagos to Los Angeles, trace their version of this dish back to this city on a hill above the Yangtze. Serving as the main, hyper-frequented lifeline between Chongqing's dense corporate high-rises and its historic riverfront is a striking vector of engineering, the Tiananmen Bridge. Stretching nearly 800 meters across the Jialing River, this structural icon utilizes a minimalist, single-tower cable-stayed design. Its solitary, 90-meter-tall concrete pylon is shaped precisely like a massive weaving needle, piercing cleanly through the skyline to anchor the weight of the entire river crossing. But the real kinetic energy lies in its dual-deck design. While 6 lanes of high-speed vehicular traffic roar across the upper level, the lower deck functions as a dedicated corridor for the heavy rail lines of Chongqing Rail Transit Line 6. Every few minutes, sleek subway trains burst out from the subterranean tunnels to glide inside the bright orange open steel truss frame, offering passengers a dazzling, wide-angle panoramic glance at the neon towers of the financial center. During national holidays, the city completely shuts down vehicular access to the upper deck, transforming this massive infrastructure artery into a sprawling pedestrian plaza. Elevated high above the water, it stands as a literal, dynamic grandstand, where millions gather to watch the modern world blend flawlessly with the ancient stone stilt houses sitting right at its feet. At night, Chongqing produces one of the most visually striking spectacles in urban Asia. Lights from thousands of towers cascade down the hillsides, stack in vertical densities that seem physically impossible, and reflect in the 2 rivers below. International photographers compare the nighttime view from Nanshan Mountain to sequences from science fiction films. Chongqing is sometimes called China's cyberpunk city. It is also called the Fog City because moisture rising from both rivers every morning wraps the towers in a dense mist that makes the entire skyline appear to float. 32 million people chose to build their city on cliffs, and when the terrain refused to cooperate, they built through it. 160 kilometers northwest of Chongqing, in the Sichuan Basin, sits Chengdu, a city of 21 million people in a province as populous as Germany. Chengdu consistently ranks as the most livable city in Western China. For centuries, this ancient capital was famous for one thing, above all else, its deeply ingrained, ultra-relaxed lifestyle. Its residents move at a different pace from the rest of the country. There is a saying in China, Chengdu is the city that holds you even after you leave. But don't let the leisurely pace fool you. Beneath this calm, relaxed exterior sits a roaring, hyper-furious, economic, and technological engine. As the primary anchor of the Tianfu New Area, Chengdu has rapidly evolved into China's western Silicon Valley. By perfectly weaving its ancient cultural legacy with the speed of light acceleration of modern hardware, Chengdu proves that the race to the future doesn't require sacrificing the soul of the past. It is a soaring tech giant that still knows exactly how to take a breath. In the hills surrounding the city lives the only animal in the world that has made a single mountain province of a single country into one of the most visited destinations on Earth. The giant panda. 15 kilometers north of the city, the Chengdu research base of giant panda breeding holds over 200 giant pandas. The largest captive panda population in the world. The giant panda exists nowhere on Earth except the mountain forests of Sichuan, Jiangsu, and Yaxi. Fewer than 2,000 survive in the wild. The Chinese government spends approximately $20 million per year on giant panda conservation. Every giant panda in a zoo outside China is on formal loan from the Chinese government. When those loans expire and are not renewed, the pandas are returned to China. But Chengdu is not only a city of tea houses and bamboo forests. It is one of China's fastest-growing technology manufacturing centers. Intel operates a semiconductor assembly and testing facility in Chengdu. Texas Instruments produces integrated circuits here. Foxconn assembles electronics at a Chengdu facility that employs tens of thousands of workers. Hidden within the scenic valleys of Chengdu Science City is a mesmerizing piece of computational art, functioning as the primary brain of Western China's tech revolution, the National Supercomputing Center in Chengdu. The absolute centerpiece of this high-tech campus is a striking geometric monument, known universally as the Silicon Cube. Designed to resemble a massive, three-dimensional crystalline microchip, floating gracefully above a circular reflection pool, the structure's glowing blue lattice facade represents a perfect marriage of advanced modern architecture and raw binary power. But the true marvel is what happens deep inside this glass and steel vault. Running on fully domestic computing architectures, the center operates at a staggering peak speed of 100 quadrillion calculations per second. That is a massive 100 petaflop computational engine capable of parsing immense data loads in the literal blink of an eye. Instead of just crunching basic office metrics, this digital powerhouse handles the country's most ambitious scientific frontiers. Sprawling across the landscape 50 kilometers southeast of the city center is a massive, multi-terminal aviation mega-hub built to redefine the boundaries of global travel. The Chengdu Tianfu International Airport. With its launch, Chengdu proudly joined Beijing and Shanghai as the only cities in mainland China to operate two massive international airports. From the air, the striking, fluid architecture reveals a profound connection to the region's ancient soul. The master layout is meticulously shaped to resemble the legendary golden sun bird, a 3,000-year-old relic excavated right here in Sichuan province, now reimagined as a futuristic gateway spanning over 700,000 square meters. But beneath this artistic shell lies an absolute powerhouse of transit technology. To entirely eliminate the massive friction of multi-terminal transfers, engineers integrated a completely automated underground people mover system, running alongside a hyper-connected smart logistics network that automatically tracks and routes luggage across the entire complex. Rising up like a colossal, undulating wave along Tianfu Avenue is a structural behemoth that completely shatters our traditional understanding of scale. The New Century Global Center. Spanning a staggering 1.7 million square meters of floor space. This isn't just a big building. For over a decade, it was officially the largest standalone structure on Earth by floor area. A megastructure so impossibly vast, it could comfortably hold 20 Sydney Opera Houses, or 3 entire Pentagon buildings packed tightly side by side. Designed around the poetic concept of a flowing melody, the building's massive exterior glass curtain walls mimic the soaring rise and fall of oceanic swells. But the true engineering shock hits you the moment you step inside its central atrium. Underneath a soaring glass barrel vault roof sits an entire self-contained indoor resort city. The core of the complex houses Paradise Island, a massive water park featuring a 5,000 square meter artificial beach, lapped by the largest indoor wave pool in existence. To ensure the weather is always perfect, engineers installed a giant, 150-meter-long LED horizon screen that functions as a fully controllable artificial sun, generating synthetic sunrises, maritime breezes, and pristine glowing sunsets 24 hours a day. Surrounded by luxury hotels, an Olympic-sized ice rink, and endless blocks of commercial towers, this indoor ocean oasis completely redefines urban architecture. It stands as a mind-bending monument to human engineering, a place where Chengdu has literally manufactured its own coastline, deep within the landlocked heart of southwestern China. Directly across the road from the colossal wave of the global center sits a masterpiece of landscape engineering that completely reverses our understanding of urban design. Chengdu SKP Park. From the street level, you see an expansive, peaceful urban oasis spanning nearly 200 acres, covered in a lush, botanical patchwork quilt of 33 interconnected gardens. But this sprawling sanctuary is a brilliant architectural illusion. In reality, 99% of this massive retail titan is buried completely underground. Architects excavated 30 meters deep into the earth to construct Asia's largest sunken luxury district, hidden entirely beneath the surface greenery. By cutting deep, canyon-like open walkways and dropping crystalline pavilions down into the core. They allowed natural daylight and fresh air to flow freely through the multi-level subterranean avenues, while preserving a pristine, unobstructed parkland above. But the definitive landmark on this hidden horizon rises straight out of the southern plaza into the open sky, the Towers of Life. 6 towering silver columns, reaching up to 39 meters high, stand like futuristic metallic bamboo shoots. By day, they are striking structural monoliths, catching the shifting light of the Sichuan basin. But when night falls, they morph into a synchronized symphony of light and water, utilizing thousands of digital nozzles and dynamic LED surfaces. Pressurized water is engineered to cascade downward along the textured aluminum panels, in a mesmerizing inverted veil that acts as a visual metaphor for cosmic abundance descending directly into the earth. By flawlessly marrying a state-of-the-art sponge city landscape with a hidden subterranean wonderland, SKP Park creates a spectacular blueprint for transit-oriented architecture. It proves that the future of high-density infrastructure doesn't have to crowd our horizons. It can breathe, completely in harmony, right beneath our feet. South of Chengdu, the Yaxi Expressway winds through the mountains of southern Sichuan on a route so dramatically engineered, with bridges stacked over valleys, tunnels bored through granite ridges, and road surfaces suspended at angles that seem designed for a film set, that it was declared a scenic drive route by the government that built it. Locals call it the ladder to heaven, and it does something most highways never attempt. It climbs, not gently, constantly. For every single kilometer you drive, the road rises another 7.5 meters into the sky. 240 kilometers, almost entirely uphill, cuts straight through some of the most violent mountain terrain in China. To understand why this road exists at all, you have to understand what it's connecting. On one end, Yan, at the edge of the Sichuan Basin. On the other, Xichang, deep in the mountains toward Yunnan. And beyond that, the trade routes stretching into Southeast Asia. Without this road, that journey meant days on switchback mountain paths. With it, a single, continuous, high-speed line punched straight through rock that never wanted to allow one. The numbers behind it are almost absurd. 270 separate viaducts, 25 tunnels, burrowing through mountains for a combined 41 kilometers. More than half the entire route isn't really a road at all. It's bridge, or its tunnel, suspended or buried, because the mountain simply refused to offer flat ground. And this wasn't stable rock to begin with. This corridor sits inside one of the most seismically active regions in China, the same fault system responsible for the devastating 2008 Wenchuan earthquake. Engineers, building through it, had to contend with pockets of natural gas, pressurized water bursting from the rock face, and fault lines that could shift beneath a tunnel mid-construction. To reduce the risk, builders used spiral tunnels, corkscrewing the road through the mountain's interior, rather than blasting straight lines across its face. But the true centerpiece is a single bridge. the Labajin Bridge, home to one of the tallest bridge piers ever constructed, rising 182.5 meters into open air. Engineers couldn't rely on a conventional solid pier at that height, so they built something that had never been attempted before: 4 hollow steel corner columns, filled with concrete, joined by concrete slabs into a single towering box, strong enough to carry a 4-lane highway on legs taller than most skyscrapers. Construction took 5 years. Total cost, over 20 billion yuan. When it opened in April of 2012, it didn't just connect 2 cities. It rewired an entire trade corridor, linking landlocked Sichuan toward Yunnan, and from there, outward toward Southeast Asia. Today, tourists drive it for the views. Engineers study it as a case model for building through terrain that, on paper, should have been unbuildable, because that's the real thread running through all of this. China's interior was never short on ambition. It was short on flat ground, so piece by piece, a building turned into a beach, a mall disguised as a park, a highway laddered straight up a mountainside. The answer was always the same: if the land won't cooperate, engineer around it. Further south, in the Liangshan Yi Autonomous Prefecture, in a vertical landscape of cliff faces and gorges 300 kilometers south of Chengdu, sits a village that was accessible for most of its history only by a series of rattan ladders pinned to the cliff face. Atula village, its name meaning Heaven's Ladder in the Yi language, sits 800 meters above the valley floor. For decades, children descended these cliff face ladders each day to attend school in the valley below, and climbed back up at the end of the day. Photographs of those children, small figures ascending near vertical wooden rungs above a sheer drop, circulated around the world in 2016 and prompted the Chinese government to act. Steel ladders were installed in 2017. And in 2020, the entire village was relocated to new apartments in the county town below. The steel ladder remains on the cliff face, climbed now by tourists instead of school children. Carved directly into the sheer stone face of Lingyun Mountain, where 3 churning rivers converge south of Chengdu, is a monumental relic of ancient engineering, the Leshan giant Buddha. Standing an astonishing 71 meters tall, this mountain-sized sculpture is the largest stone Buddha in the world. So massive that its shoulders stretch 28 meters wide, and its smallest toenail could comfortably seat a family of 4. First chiseled from the red sandstone in the year 713, during the golden age of the Tang dynasty, the project was the vision of a Buddhist monk named Heitong. The rivers below him were notoriously violent, capsizing trade boats, drowning sailors, year after year. Heitong believed a colossal Buddha, carved directly into the cliff, could calm the water itself. when corrupt officials threatened to seize the project's funding. Heitong is said to have gouged out his own eyes and offered them as proof of his devotion. The money was restored, but Heitong never lived to see his statue finished. He died with only the head and shoulders complete, and the work passed to his disciples. Stalled for lack of funds, then passed again to a regional governor who wouldn't see it finished either. 90 years, 3 generations of builders who never met the man who started it. And in a strange twist of physics, the plan actually worked. All that stone, chiseled away over 9 decades, fell straight into the riverbed below, altering the current, taming the rapids, before the statue was even finished. But the real genius is hidden inside the hair and the robes. To protect the sandstone from Sichuan's relentless, humid rain, ancient builders carved an invisible drainage network directly into the statue itself. Gutters behind the ears, channels through the collar, hidden in each of the 1,021 individual stone curls. Every drop of rain is quietly pulled off the surface and carried away before it can pool, freeze, and split the stone from within. That system was designed 1,200 years ago. It is still working today. Modern China builds its monuments in years. This one took 90, and it's still standing, long after everything built quickly around it has already needed to be rebuilt. Hidden deep within the snow-capped Min Mountains of northern Sichuan is a high-altitude sanctuary that looks like a living watercolor painting, Jiangsu Valley, named after the 9 historic Tibetan villages resting within its boundaries. This UNESCO World Heritage Site is famous for its multi-tiered waterfalls and hyper-vivid, color-shifting lakes. At Five Flower Lake, the water is so impossibly transparent, you can see ancient, fallen tree trunks, preserved on the lake bed meters below. The color isn't paint, and it isn't dye, it's chemistry. Calcium-rich groundwater rising through cracked limestone, releasing carbon dioxide as it meets the air, hardening into stone. Travertine, nature's own construction material, precipitated directly out of the water itself. Those mineral deposits do something remarkable. They build dams, natural stone barriers that break the valley into a staircase of individual lakes, each one sitting at its own elevation, catching the light differently, turning turquoise, emerald, sapphire, amber, shifting with every movement of the sun. The largest of these travertine structures created Nuorilang Waterfall, roughly 300 meters wide, one of the widest travertine waterfalls on Earth. For centuries, it stood as the valley's centerpiece, a wall of glacial meltwater thundering over calcified rock. Then, on August the 8th, 2017, the ground failed. A magnitude 7 earthquake tore through the valley. The first quake in China's history to strike with its epicenter inside a World Natural Heritage Site. 2 of the valley's natural dams didn't survive it. Huohua Lake's travertine wall ruptured completely. The lake drained within days. And Nurilang itself, the widest falls in China, was reduced to little more than a trickle. 1,000 years of mineral construction, undone in seconds. So government engineers went in and did something almost unheard of. They rebuilt the dams by hand, reinforcing the fractured travertine, clearing silt from the lake beds, restoring water flow under a formal, multi-year reconstruction plan. They weren't repairing a monument. They were manually replicating a geological process that normally takes 1,000 years, compressed into 3. Today, both are running again. Researchers studying the restored lake found something nobody expected. By some measures, the colors are more vivid now than they were before the earthquake ever struck. Everywhere else in this story, humans engineered around the landscape. Here, for once, the landscape had already engineered itself, and when it broke, humans had to learn to rebuild the exact way nature already had. If this video is showing you a China you had never seen, take 1 second and subscribe to the Travel Index. One tap. It decides whether films like this keep getting made. South of Sichuan and east of Yunnan, the province of Guizhou sits on a landscape so fractured by gorges and karst formations that building roads across it requires engineering solutions found nowhere else in the world. For nearly a decade, the Duge Bridge, spanning the Beipan River on the Guizhou-Yunnan border, its deck 565 meters above the water, was the highest bridge on Earth. Then, in 2025, Guizhou broke its own record. Suspended over an abyss, known locally as the Earth's Crack, lies the single highest bridge ever built by mankind. The Zhejiang Grand Canyon Bridge. For generations, crossing this fracture in Guizhou's mountains meant a grueling 2-hour descent down unstable switchback cliffs, prone to rockfall after every hard rain. Today, that same crossing takes 2 minutes. 625 meters of empty air separate this 4-lane expressway from the river below. 9 times the height of San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge. The steel truss deck alone weighs 22,000 tons, the equivalent mass of 2 entire Eiffel Towers, hanging in open air above a canyon most of the world has never heard of. During construction, crews drilling the tunnel anchors struck an unexpected flow of underground karst water. Instead of pumping it out as waste, engineers redirected the entire flow into a newly built reservoir, turning an obstacle into infrastructure. It took 3 years and 8 months to build. The average age of the engineering team was 28. One of the project managers grew up nearby, in a town that once had exactly 1 bus a day, leaving for the provincial capital. Now, it's not just a crossing. It's a destination. A glass elevator rising toward a cafe near the summit of the North Tower. A skywalk hanging hundreds of meters above the canyon floor, and a water curtain feature, built to send a cascade, pouring straight off the deck. The Gupitan ship lift on the Wu River is one of China's largest ship elevators, a structure that lifts entire cargo vessels vertically inside a water-filled chamber from one reservoir level to another. Vessels enter a giant tank of water at the lower level. The tank seals and rises on hydraulic pistons and emerges at the upper level, a process that takes minutes instead of the hours required by a traditional lock. And deep in a natural limestone bowl in Guizhou's karst country, its sides shielding it from radio interference on all sides, China built the telescope that listens harder than any instrument ever constructed, FAST. The 500-meter aperture spherical telescope. Its reflector dish measures 500 meters across, large enough to contain 30 football pitches inside it. It is the largest single-dish radio telescope ever built. The dish is composed of over 4,000 individual reflector panels, each independently adjustable by servo motors, to reshape the dish's curvature with millimeter precision as it tracks objects across the sky. When FAST became operational in 2016, it displaced the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico, which had held the world record for 53 years as the largest radio telescope on Earth. FAST is sensitive enough to detect signals from sources farther away than any telescope has previously listened. Distances measured not in kilometers, but in billions of years of light travel time. It is searching for extraterrestrial intelligence. In 2019, it detected a repeating fast radio burst, a burst of electromagnetic radiation lasting milliseconds, from a source billions of light-years away, whose origin science has not yet fully explained. To protect the telescope from human-made radio interference, the Chinese government relocated approximately 10,000 residents from the surrounding valley before FAST was activated. A 5-kilometer electromagnetic silence zone surrounds the dish. It is one of the quietest places in China. 10,000 people gave up their valley so that one machine could listen to the universe without interruption. And on the river to the north, 1.5 million people gave up everything so that their country could hold back the Yangtze itself. On the Yangtze River, in Hubei province, at the entrance to the Three Gorges, stands the most powerful power station ever built, the Three Gorges Dam. Before the reservoir could be filled, 1.5 million people were relocated from the valley, a population roughly equivalent to the entire city of Munich. Displaced by a project that would submerge their towns, their farmland, and their history beneath water. 13 cities, 140 towns, and more than 1,000 villages disappeared. Archaeological sites, 6,000 years old, went with them. The dam itself is over 2 kilometers long and 185 meters high, taller than a 60-story building. In an average year, it generates approximately 95 terawatt-hours of electricity, 3 times the output of the largest power plant in the United States. In 2020, after extreme monsoon rains, It produced nearly 112 terawatt-hours in a single year, the most electricity any power station has ever generated in the history of the world. That is enough to replace the burning of more than 30 million tons of coal. A 5-stage ship lock beside the dam allows vessels to navigate the full difference in water level, roughly equal to the height of a 35-story building, through a sequence of sequential chambers. The transit takes between 3 and 4 hours. It is the largest ship lock system on Earth. But for vessels that cannot wait 4 hours, there is an alternative: the Three Gorges ship lift, a ship elevator. A vessel enters a tank of water at the lower level. The tank seals. Hydraulic pistons raise the entire tank, ship, crew, and water, vertically up the face of the dam. The tank rises to the upper reservoir level and opens. The transit takes approximately 40 minutes, a fraction of the time the ship locks require. And here is the part almost nobody outside China knows. The Three Gorges Dam is not alone. 1,000 kilometers upstream, on the Jinsha River, stands the Baihetan Dam, the second most powerful hydroelectric station on Earth, fitted with the largest turbines ever manufactured, 16 machines, each one generating a full gigawatt. Baihetan, Wudongde, Shiluodu, Xiangjiaba, the Three Gorges itself, a staircase of megadams descending the Yangtze, together forming the largest concentration of hydroelectric power our species has ever assembled on a single river. The Yellow River, China's second longest river and the cradle of Chinese civilization, flows through the north of the country for 5,400 kilometers before emptying into the Bohai Sea. It is called China's Sorrow. For 4,000 years, it has periodically flooded without warning, changing course, erasing cities, and killing in numbers that make it one of the deadliest natural features in human history. Multiple historians estimate that Yellow River floods over the course of recorded Chinese history have killed more people than any other natural phenomenon on Earth. The Xiaolangdi Dam, completed in 2001 in Henan province, where the river exits its mountain gorges and enters the flat plain below, is the primary flood control structure for the lower Yellow River. Its reservoir is large enough to hold a volume of water roughly comparable to the total flow of the river over several months. Twice a year, the dam conducts a controlled sluicing operation, opening its gates to flush sediment from the reservoir, producing a cascade of yellow-brown water and sand that photographers travel from across the world to witness. For 4,000 years, this river killed without warning. Now, twice a year, humans schedule its rage and sell tickets to watch. And this same province holds one more machine the world depends on: the building where your phone was probably born. 800 kilometers north of Shenzhen, in the landlocked province of Henan, sits the factory that assembles more iPhones than any other place on Earth. Zhengzhou. The factory is operated by Foxconn, the Taiwanese contract manufacturer that produces hardware for Apple, Microsoft, Sony, Amazon, and dozens of other global brands. The Zhengzhou Foxconn campus covers an area larger than many town centers. Shows during peak production season, September to December, when Apple releases new models. The facility employs up to 350,000 workers. That is a workforce larger than the entire population of some capital cities. The campus contains dormitories, canteens, a hospital, a post office, a bank, and a fire station. Workers call it Foxconn City. The outside world calls it iPhone City. Apple calls it one of its most critical production partners on Earth. 350,000 people in a city most of the world cannot find on a map, assembling the object the world checks every 6 minutes. That is the interior of China, and it is only half the story. You have now crossed the interior of this country. Jiangsu, Hangzhou, Wuhan, the eastern cities still building, still accelerating, still arriving at something they have not yet named. Chongqing and Chengdu, where China's oldest landscapes live alongside its most extreme engineering. The Three Gorges Dam, the Fast Telescope, the Xiaolangdi floodgates, structures that exist at the outer edge of what concrete, steel, and human calculation can achieve. The old China and the new China are not two different places. They are the same place, happening at the same time, and everything in this film sat within the eastern half of the country. Beyond it lie the steppe, the desert, the plateau, and the ice, the edges of China. That journey is next. If this video gave you a new perspective on China, leave a comment below with the one place from this journey you would most like to see in person. The edges of China are already on your screen. I will see you there.